right, okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to quickly review the quadratic formula that we, whoa, sorry, just banged my chair, that we learned today in class. And I'm not going to sing it for you because then you'll have a video recording of it, which would be awkward. So I'm just going to show it to you here. So the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, the thing that I saw some of you guys doing today was trying to divide this radical, okay, what's the radicand and everything inside it, by 2a. Okay, the formula is all over 2a. So you have to do this entire top part and then divide by 2a. Okay, so we can't just like randomly start dividing things inside the radical by 2a. Okay, so yeah, so let's keep going and then I'll come back to that if I feel like we need to. Okay, so if you guys will remember, in a quadratic, okay, we have to have it in descending order and it has to be solved for 0. Okay, so that's already done. This is descending order. It's solved for 0. So this right here is A, this coefficient is B, and this is C. Okay, and that's going to be important because we're going to plug A, B, and C into this equation. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus, and I'm going to show you why I'm putting it in parentheses in a second, 4 times a times c, and then the whole thing is over 2 times a. So the other issue that some of you guys were having is that the negatives were throwing you off and when to add, when to subtract, whenever it was that double negative. So I think what's going to be easiest is we're subtracting this entire quantity. Okay, the formula is minus 4ac. So you're not subtracting 4, you're subtracting 4ac. So we're going to put that in parentheses just to distinguish it and make it a little bit easier for now. So let's keep going. X equals negative 11 plus or minus the square root. So 11 squared is 121 minus 4 times 4 is 16. And then 16 times negative 20 is going to be negative 320. All over 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, so this makes it a little bit easier to see that we're going to be subtracting negative 320, which is going to be the same thing as adding positive. Okay, and don't hesitate. I'm letting you guys use calculators, okay? I'm not expecting you to do all this math mentally this chapter. So, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root. Then 121 plus 320 is now 441 over 8. Okay? So I know that the square root of 441 is 21. If you didn't know that, you could always check in your calculator. So check to see if it's a perfect square, and it is. If it wasn't, I could leave it like this. But because that's a perfect square, I'm going to have negative 11 plus or minus the square root of 441 is 21 over 8. Okay, so now that gives me two options, or my two answers. Negative 11 plus 21 over 8, okay, could be 1, or negative 11 minus 21 over 8. Make sure y'all can see that. Okay, good. So negative 11 plus 21 gives me 10 over 8. 8 goes into 10 one time with 2 left over, so that's the same thing as 1 1/4. Okay, or negative 11 minus 21 is negative 32 over 8, which is negative 4. So those are my two answers. Okay, 1 1/4. If you had left this as 5 over 4, okay, I would be fine with that. So 5 over 4 or negative 4. Okay, so, oh, there we go. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, we ended up with two kind of cleaner, like not whole number, but integer answers. So let's do a second example. Okay, this one is x squared plus 3, x squared equals 3x plus 3. So again, I want it set equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 3x and subtract 3 from both sides. So what I end up with over here on this left-hand side is x squared minus 3x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, so we're set up, we're ready to go. I'm going to use the exact same, okay, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, and just as a reminder, okay, this case 1 would be a, negative 3 would be b, and c is also negative 3. So let's plug these numbers in. So x equals negative, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus, I'm going to set up these parentheses again, 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So x equals 3 plus or minus the square root, negative 3 squared is 9, minus 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, all over 2a. Okay, so let's keep going. X equals 3 plus or minus the square root, 9 minus negative 12 becomes 9 plus positive 12, so that's 21 over 2. Okay, at this point, 21 does not have a perfect square root. Okay, so I can be done. Okay, there's nothing I can do to simplify. So that would be my answer. Okay, for what we're doing today, this is okay as an answer. Okay, so let's keep going to our next example, which is 2x squared plus 23 equals 14x. So I want to have it solved for x, or solved for 0, set equal to 0. I can't talk, it's late. So we're going to subtract 14x from both sides. So that's going to leave me with 2x squared minus 14x plus 23 equals 0. Okay, there's nothing that they're all divisible by, so I'm going to go ahead, label them here, A, B, and C. So the equation is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Okay, so going up a little bit, x equals 14 plus or minus the square root. Negative 14 squared is 196 minus, oh gosh, I should have got a calculator out. Minus 4 times 2 is 8. I'm going to have to work it out over here. And then 8 times 23. I don't have a calculator with me. So 3 times 8 is 24. And then 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 2 is 18. And then all of that was positive, right? The ones that we did before had a negative here, so it made it minus a negative. This one is not. All over 4. Okay, so then we're going to do x equals 14 plus or minus the square root. 196 minus 84 is going to be 12 over 4. Okay, so the other thing is, what some of you guys were trying to do today was saying, oh, well, 4 goes into 12 2 times or 3 times and all of that. But this isn't really 12. This is the square root of 12. So we can't just go ahead and like randomly divide it by 4. Okay, so this is not a perfect square. So I'm going to box in my answer and be done. So that was just a quick review on quadratic formula. It works every single time. And that is it.